Hello, hello. How we doing tonight, guys? Well, this evening, I guess, on these earlier PA reviews. A little bit of a small crowd here. I am doing great, thank you. By the way, I do see some new faces in here. You'll notice you do get some echo. Just take the time to mute either the stream or myself so that you don't hear me double. I am messing around with a new virtual camera software, and I have a new microphone that I also ordered. So it was time to treat myself a little bit. So we're gonna have some higher quality in the recording and in the workflow, I guess, of these calls. I do apologize if I sound a little weird. I am sick and it is messing around with my voice. I'm doing great, Justin. Thank you for asking, right? You guys know these this week PA reviews are a little bit earlier than usual. Well, a little bit, 3 hours and a half. But we either do them at 5 p.m. or at 8:30. Usual time is 8:30, but I have a lot of stuff going on this week. Going to the restaurant for a friend's birthday tonight. So we're gonna do this one early, make sure we don't skip them in times like these. Looking back at what happened today, it is sorry, as I was saying, might be a little bit of a rough one. It is exactly what I was anticipating. So we had a nice um, swing point form. So let's just say we took out a nice objective, right? And SMT was formed at this level with ES. So I did want to remind that we did cover all of this and the tradable move from yesterday. Definitely a very, very nice result to it. But now going into today, since we had that huge rejection, right, as we can see from the very large wick after taking this objective and with SMT, no matter what, you expect the next day will retrace into the range. Now, the current range that we're trading within is from this high to this low, right? That is the most recent range. And on that range, you have a premium in efficiency. That is this order block. So my target was very clear today. I was looking for this. And let's actually use array so that we'll be able to see it on our other thing. So minus order block daily. This is how I annotate my chart. I use horizontal arrays, which you can find right here under trend lines, horizontal array. So very simple, very clear objective for me in this area. We had SMT, NASDAQ being the stronger asset. You anticipate that NASDAQ has to reach this, while ES did not have to trade all the way up here. And as we see, it did not in this case. So for me, bias was bullish. I was going to be looking for longs only, but you could still justify shorts after they open. We'll look at it on our 15-minute chart here. If we look at the day right here, okay, so yesterday we took out our key objective. We have our higher time frame SMT. I'm trying to get that line. Well, I won't, I guess. Let's do this and put it back somewhere around here. So you have that movement. So now early on in the day, if you anticipate a bullish day, you first anticipate a manipulation lower. Now in this case, on the high, you had no SMT, so you couldn't regard this as a high probability high of day. Like for example, if there was SMT here, well, I would have been looking for shorts more so than longs because this had a high probability of being the high of day, right? 15-minute chart, SMT, after taking out liquidity, that's what I need. But in this case, we did that. We had a very nice framework from Asia high to low, and then you had a London framework going into New York. So going into New York, your higher time frame chart told you that that daily order block is going to be your objective. Disregard the previous candle trading into it. It does not matter, right? So previous candle right here traded into it. I'm still anticipating that the next candle will reach it. If you guys want another objective here, you could have used the quarters of this, looking for price to trade back to the mean threshold, or that first quarter, which let me just reverse this. I like first quarter to be 0.25. Let's remove the 0 and the 1 and the 75, then the 25. This is how I regard order blocks. Any trading past mean threshold is not of interest to me. And as we can tell, right, Asia low being taken in that overnight, London low as well just after 5 a.m., which means that you have a over 70% chance of reaching London high. So that's purely speaking on statistics, right? I know that this framework of the London which means that we take out one side of London between 5 a.m. and 9:30. Then the other side of London will be met during 9:30 to 4 p.m. 70+% of the time. Now it always depends because I like to filter my stats quite a bit. So for example, I'd like to look, okay, well, what about just on Wednesdays? What about on Wednesdays that have the ICM services PMI, which is the news that we had today? And I will share some stats about that as well because I do utilize the news range. For example, here in this 15-minute chart, we can use 2 candles, and that is your 30-minute range from the news that we had at 10 a.m. And see how we just took out one side, went to take out liquidity, and then fully reversed. So we are going to talk about that, the statistical approach to those, because this is something that I've been using a lot as confluence to my trade, is utilizing the statistical ranges from data high, data low, which is news high and low. So we'll talk about this, but other than this, you had a very high probability framework to go to London high, and you'd be waiting until after 10 a.m. since, as I just said, we had news. I think I copied it. I did not. But we had services PMI, final services PMI, ISM services PMI, and we had, of course, it's Wednesday of NFP, so you have ADP, non-farm employment change. So you had some very nice PA resulting from this, but it was a little high resistance beforehand, and you would have been looking for a late trade. See, today is the type of day where I would look for a trade past 11:30, but we'll also look at opportunities beforehand, right? Because before 11:30, even though my objective is higher, I don't have a high probability framework. This is just 2 minutes after the news. I would need to wait longer than this. So I can't take this entry because I need to wait at least a few more minutes. Honestly, I don't really have a rule for it. It used to be 10 minutes, but I see now a lot of entries around that 6-7 minute mark. So truth is, this is a loss sometimes, and other times it is not. So just to look at it, this could be a potential loss. Is it a good trade? Yes. You have everything telling you that you're going to be reaching for London high right here. You don't need more than this. And let me actually change the text. I'm always not sure if I prefer, but I like outside center. 4-hour power of 3 had to form a low also. Yes, so 10 a.m. candle opened and went straight to a high. So if you're looking to long, this is not a high probability setup. I still wanted to mention it because mechanically speaking, this is a unicorn and we were looking for longs. So I always like to get into it and share that specifically, right? And so I would have skipped all the shorts. Truth is, there were some successful shorts probably somewhere in here. Give me a second. I'm just going to mute myself. It is one of those days, guys. I do apologize. Can you guys hear me all right? Is the sound back up? Awesome. Yes, set up at the open. So you had a clear Judah swing right at 9:30 at the open. You had SMT as well. But the truth is, it took too long for that Judah swing to form in my book. So I would have liked to see this. So there is SMT here. So I would have liked to see this hold. Because it formed a Judah swing, it formed SMT, and then it went to break that. So for me, that invalidated all possible setups. So no, I would not have been looking for a trade before the news here, for example, right? If we're looking at this entry inside this fair value gap, because we first formed our Judah swing, confirmed with SMT, and then invalidated it. So the idea is no longer valid in my book because we're not respecting this, which means that I should be waiting for the news. Does that make sense, Justin? We're talking about our rule, by the way, of we can trade before news when 9:30 forms the Judah swing with SMT, but it can't destroy that SMT. It has to be the first SMT to form with that Judah swing for me to look for setup. I don't think I ever specified that, so thank you for giving me that opportunity. And then, as I said here, you'd have a bearish breaker, but no entry, right? Because you have no inversion fair value gaps and no fair value gaps. All here, we formed 0 fair value gaps. Still, no fair value gaps until here, where we formed a bullish one. So once again, I'd be looking for longs. Here, you don't have an entry for a long until way later here, and then you'd have a potential one here. So I am going to mention it, even though once again, this is never a trade I'm looking to take. But if we look here, this is a breaker block because we did have SMT at that low. Or am I wrong? Are they equal? The low is 5774.5, 5774.5, and as I always say, when ES forms equal lows, I regard it as it took it, and here we didn't take it, so this is a breaker block. This is an entry. Once again, just a failed opportunity. Truth is, we had a lot of consolidation after the news, and whenever that happens, I like to give the news 30 minutes to an hour and then look for a raid. Because when we when we engineer this much liquidity here, we're always going to do a back and forth. And what I mean by that is we're going to sweep one side to go target the other. And this is where I can bring this in. Let's bring this. This is the economic news analysis dashboard on my statistics. And just looking, no need to get into the advanced statistics, right? Where you have literally every single level with its probability. But even just staying on the simple dashboard, what do we see here? Range breaks. I know that we have 60.8% chance of taking out both sides of every range. And of course, if I want the specific time frames, so for example, here I know that 100% of the time, and I'm looking at the last 5 years. As I said, I like to profile my data a lot. So bullish range, day of the week is Wednesday. We had very high probability of reaching both levels up until that 30-minute mark. So after that 30-minute mark, the high stays high probability, but the low is low probability. So what can we understand from this? Pretty much. Well, all the time, even up to 90 minutes, we're always breaking the high. So I know that this news gives me trending PA right up until 90 minutes after the news, and that's 11:30. So this is what gives me the confidence to take a trade later in the session. So usually I don't look for trades past 11:30. With this news, specifically this current day, I know that price is going to be trending. And if we go a little further here and we look at the success rate matrix, we see that variable, and more importantly, that variable of both sides being hit is lower. And the low being hit is being 60% vs 75% of reaching the high right here. That is a very clear sign for me that is big divergence, that we should continue to trend higher. And as we see here, high break continuation, almost 60% of the time, that is the profile that happens. And you can see right here what it means. Percentage of times price continues higher after breaking the high. Screen or camera frozen for me. It might take some time, but as I said, higher quality coming. So definitely a lot of raids occurring in this case. And if we go back to our chart, well, this is what gives me the confidence to trade a framework like this, even though we are past 11:30. So for me, if we zoom in at the bottom right here, all I was waiting for is a bullish breaker to form. Now we did have a bullish breaker that formed here, but we had no entry right here. Do you see a bullish PD array you can use to enter? No, you don't have any. So you're just waiting. And we keep diving down. A lot of people would like to call this a 3 drives pattern where we went 3 times. Well, I mean, that's more like 4. You know, I don't really use specific patterns like this, but I hear that word come out a lot. For me personally, I see a range like this. I see us break one side, take out the other. This is a lower time frame breaker right here. As I like to say, it's just that we can't visualize it because it happened too quickly. We don't see a bullish candle. We have a doji here. Yes, same close as open. But in this whole range, there is an up close candle if I go down. So I'll go down. I like to showcase it whenever we're here. But I can see that this range, and I am referring to the last part of it, right? So from this high to this low, we formed it. So we have a 15-second breaker. We could go to the 45-second chart and get a super clean breaker. But on the 1 minute, we don't have an up close candle, which just means that I'm going to be utilizing the full range as the breaker, just to make things simple. And if we look right here, next candle over, we formed a very nice fair value gap. No volume imbalance here, actually. Let me put this blue. Too much red. and you have a very beautiful entry. Now, is the result of that entry pretty? Not at all. Almost came to stop you out here at this low, because 3PD erase gives you fair value gap, order block, swing low, and validation point of your breaker. So no, definitely not. But even just looking at these relative equal highs right here, which would have been a very clear first objective, you're already up 1.5 R. For me today, this was my level where I didn't take a partial, but I went break even. So this was my break even level. And then I looked to take a partial based on the latest expansion range. And as you guys saw, I had very high confidence with the data behind this news range. So I thought that we were going to go higher, right? This level, at this time, we were looking at an hour and a half range. So this level was a 75% chance of being met. And I know that London has a 73, I believe it was, percent chance of being met during the current day. So before 4 p.m. So with all these statistics combined, like I'd have to do the actual calculations, but you have a very high probability statistical frameworks. So when people ask me how do you use statistics, this is how. I don't use them to execute on trades. I use them to build high probability frameworks, which I then trade using a unicorn entry with the Rise model. Very straightforward stuff here. So your true partial would be here. For me, it was a little rough in the morning. I took one loss during this time. I actually got lucky that I didn't take two losses, but I took one loss. I was waiting at 10, managed to take a loss here. I believe it was long. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really don't remember, but I was only looking for longs this morning. So hopefully it was a long. I'll have to go open my journal, but my brain is a little bit foggy. And then you have this very nice long, which actually here, this level is wrong, going break even at this partial level, and then reaching all the way up here to your first premium in efficiency. That is your 5-minute fair value gap. Let's actually draw it out as such. I mean, I have a box template for this, but I never use it. So let's start using it. 5-minute fair value gap here. Once we flip that, you have even more confidence that we're going to hit the data highs right here, then London high. There is no, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. There is no stopping this trade. And as you guys can see, clearly a very, very good return on such a precise entry. And you might say, oh, well, what if I miss that entry? Okay, well, you have another opportunity just after. So really no excuses on this trade. Definitely a very nice long. The only way you would miss trades like these is if you overtraded during the beginning and you had to stop yourself. But I don't see a possibility for more than 2 losses in this price action. And personally, for me, that was only one. Then you have break even here. That was me making a personal choice. Since I'm already down 1 R on the day, I prefer to be safe. Then you have your real partial at this level. Little confluence from the first standard deviation. Real target for me would have been the news high because that was the highest probability objective. And then I would have held a runner for London high, which in this case is also current day's high. And I don't think we reached previous day high. I think we barely did that. And let's actually make a precise line. Yeah, we barely did not reach it. We reached the first quarter of that daily order block. But let's be honest, at this point, you're already up 12 R. If you have a runner, you're just waiting to close it at 4. That is the only trade I'm going to cover. Why? Because the only opportunities I see during this day are long, and truth is, you should be entered at the beginning. If not, you miss the trade. And when I personally miss a move, I don't try and chase it. Even though I am profitable, right? Trading at the extremities of the range, even if I went long somewhere here, I could have made a lot of money. But this is a trade I want to catch, not the other ones. So once again, I never look to chase past my trades ideas. I just decide that I missed it and better luck next time. So I think that it's been a long time since we didn't have a peer review this quick. So I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to ask your questions as you want. I am watching. I just have to mute myself again. Runny nose. All right. I'm sorry, I know this might not be too visually pleasing, to say the least, but I don't want to be skipping any of these. I've been doing those for over a year now. I think my first PA review was February 22nd, 2023. So, very important to me that I keep this streak going. And yes, I missed one here and there. I think we missed three total. Well, that wasn't missed, but that were canceled. But I don't want to do that. So you guys know, if I cancel a PA review, there is a really serious reason. Because right now I feel like shit and I'm still here. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. No questions, all clear, right? Pretty clear day. It's really, you had to catch along early, or you were stuck chasing the whole day with large consolidations. There is still opportunity in this, but for me, very simple, very clear. And I'm going to try and add a little more statistics, right? So I share statistics with you on days where they form my frameworks. Today, I did not even need it, but I shared the statistics about London high and low and why I trade that framework, right? I don't need to remind myself of the statistics every single day, but I know my statistics about it still, and I open my dashboard. For those of you that have right statistics, just open your dashboard, select your session as London, and it automatically filters it with all your current day values. So no need to do manual input. And I wanted to showcase the news ranges, right? It takes a long time to load on the app right now. I do know it takes about 45 to 60 seconds to load the page initially, because after you have loaded it, it is cached, so you don't need to worry about it. It will never take more time, but it is extremely worth it. I mean, I open it in the morning and then I just mess around with it the whole day. And with the specific news, I always have high probability frameworks like those. Get some rest. I don't do that, Speacock. I don't do that. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, when I'm sick, I do tend to sleep a lot. I have 7 to 8 hour nights. Um, but what can I say, right? Maybe in the future you could do some replays with the setup so we can see them in real time-ish. Yeah, like I did the last PA review, right? I was or the last or the one before, I was asking if you guys wanted to see more of those. And yeah, definitely. Honestly, my brain is very foggy right now, so my goal was to keep this one a little shorter. Um, because I need to go take a break and see where 22 minutes in, where usually we take double that time, but also we don't usually have only one valid setup for the day. Definitely. I saw another YouTuber's video of review yesterday and watching it in full was super helpful. Yeah, okay, so I'll go in replay mode more often. Truth is today was just not the day, but yes, I definitely will. Yeah, look at the last PA review, or if ever you're curious, by the way, I started doing this. You can go to the YouTube channel in the Discord, and you can go to pinned messages. So that is on the top right of your screen in Discord. And I'm going to start pinning the PA reviews where I talk about a lot of different things. So I think it's on that one specifically, which is high probability trades backed by statistical data. It was on the 3rd. So not yesterday's PA review, but Monday's PA review. I did a little bit of that. So if you want to go watch that and let me know what you think, and if that's what you mean, definitely let me know. You guys have a great night. I'm going to call it here. All right. Good luck if you're trading tomorrow. For myself, I will not be looking for a trade until Friday, NFP. And to be honest with you all, my week has already been great, so I'm really not going to be targeting anything there. I have, NJ, yes, I have integrated part of this news data, so I'm not fully done integrating it, but I have integrated part of this news data into a bot because it is just crazy, honestly. All right, guys, have a great night. We'll see each other back here Friday evening, 5 p.m. once again. Have a good one, guys.